Hi everyone, this is Devin Francis, aka Leonard Meltzner,
And this is Victoria.
and you're watching The Adventures in Odyssey
Oddcast.
Oddcast.
Did
That
I
was
get
quite
it?
good. Sounded good on
Yes!
my end, but when we line it up together, then it'll be out of sync.
Oh,
Yeah, it's the way the cookie crumbles.
yay.
Welcome back, everybody, to this lovely late January episode. It is the third episode of the Beginner's Guide to Odyssey, the BGTO. For those of you who don't remember, Victoria, what is the BGTO?
It is a reference guide, so if you guys get upset about it not being like our normal episodes, it's not meant for really entertainment. It's just meant for when you want to find out a certain thing about Odyssey that you can't remember.
Yes.
So,
Or I guess AIO Wiki is more like finding something you can't remember. These are, we take a bunch of topics under a certain theme and give like a sort of condensed AIO Wiki article, or sometimes expanded, depending on if the article is a stub or not. For some of these, they are, and this is actually much more exhaustive than the AIO Wiki article, which is why we write these or I write these articles from scratch, and Victoria proofreads them.
yep.
So, this week, we are doing Wit's Inventions for our third episode. Which inventions are we covering, Victoria?
We are covering the Imagination Station and Environment Enhancer, Room of Consequence, Transmuter, the Gallery, Applesauce, Wit's Boredom Buster, the Edgelink, Bevers, Bible Room Mirror, Inspiration Station, Motion Sensing Microphones, and the Strata Flyer. And just so you
Yes.
guys know, that last one does count, and we explain why.
That is 12 exciting inventions for you to learn all about. As always, there will be a spoiler warning on this because we'll talk about the inventions in relation to certain sagas that they may or may not be involved in. So please be wary of that. Usually it's talking about Novacom Saga and the Blackguard Saga. I think that's all for this one. Oh, and also the Leonard Meltzner Saga, I believe. So bear that in mind and everything else. I think that's it. So let's turn you over to audio, Devin and Victoria, right now. This is the Beginner's Guide to Odyssey, Episode 3, Inventions. First off, we have the Imagination Station and the Environment Enhancer. The Imagination Station is Wit's greatest invention, and possibly Wit's End's most famous feature. It is a completely immersive and interactive virtual reality device designed to allow the user or users to experience history, both Bible history and general world history. It began as the Environment Enhancer, which was essentially a pair of headphones which added music and sound effects while listening to a narrated story to help add immersion. Digger Digwillow was the first child to use the Imagination Station proper, traveling back to meet Jesus and witness the crucifixion. Wit has modified the machine in many ways over the years. This includes design changes, such as a TARDIS-like police call box, something resembling a hot water tank on its side, the classic helicopter look, and most recently, a series of interconnected rooms and doors. This also includes software modifications, which have included the addition of a remote control for the user, the ability to integrate the user into the story they're witnessing as a character, the ability to scan books, paintings, and other fictional worlds to enter, and many other software patches. The station has been heavily involved in many of the major sagas, including both the Applesauce and Darkness Before Dawn portions of the Blackguard Saga and the Novacom Saga. Because of the incredible and complex effects the Imagination Station has on the human brain, several US government agencies, including the NIH and the FBI, keep tabs on Wit and his advances with the machine.
The Room of Consequence. The Room of Consequence, or Room of Consequences, is very similar to the Imagination Station, with its chief difference being that instead of letting a person experience the past, it lets them experience their own potential future. It is used to allow people to see some of the potential outcomes of decisions they may make. It was first used on Jimmy Barkley to show him the possible outcome of his buying a video game that his mother did not want him to. The other difference between the Room of Consequences and the Imagination Station is that the Room of Consequences is simply a large room which the user stands inside. However, the current iteration of the Imagination Station is in fact somewhat similar to this design. The Room of Consequence isn't used as frequently as the Imagination Station, but it is still used on rare occasion.
The Transmuter. While the Transmuter has only appeared in one single episode, it is still important because it completes the temporal trilogy of the two previous inventions. That is to say, the Imagination Station sends a user into the past, the Room of Consequence sends them into the future, and the Transmuter shows them the present from the perspective of another person. The machine looks like a large manual scale such as would be seen in a doctor's office, and puts the user into a seamless trance-like state, similar to the two previous inventions, that leads them to believe that they have entered another person's body in the present. Extrapolating from the one episode in which the device appears, it seems that it only requires a DNA sample for appearances, and programming concerning the host body's personal relationships in order to simulate their lives for the user. Would presumably received the idea for the invention after asking the angel Malachi for inspiration. The point of the invention is for the user to appreciate the struggles and lives of others by literally walking a mile in another man's shoes.
The Gallery. The gallery is one of the more recent of Witt's inventions. It consists of a room upstairs in Witt's End, filled with portraits of famous historical figures. The paintings are all hooked up to, presumably, a mic, speaker, virtual intelligence, and a historical database. The idea is that kids who need help in history, rather than think of these figures as boring, long dead, irrelevant figures, can speak to them in person to learn about them as real people. As with most of Witt's inventions, it's designed to bring history to life. Witt first unveiled it on the TV show At Home in My Town when they featured the city of Odyssey.
Applesauce. While not a physical invention per se, Applesauce is one of Witt's most famous creations. Initially created for the Department of Defense, Applesauce is an incredibly powerful computer program of a highly top-secret nature. Not a lot is known about its purpose, but it appears to possess great capabilities for both systems management and mass data analysis. While Witt was developing the program long before he created Witt's End, it was first mentioned when he showed Eugene the secret computer room adjacent to his office. Witt had Applesauce installed on the master computer system for Witt's End, and it can be inferred that the copy there was networked to some very serious government systems. Sometime before Witt showed it to Eugene, but after buying Witt's End, Witt collaborated with NSA agent Tasha Forbes for the development of the compound TA418 as a sort of cofactor for the Roku virus, using Applesauce as the computing software. Connie and Eugene were fired when Connie accidentally ran level 1 of the program, which ran a full systems diagnostic of Witt's End, nearly destroying the building. They weren't able to access level 2, which could have possibly performed the same procedure for the US government's central computer matrix or something similar. Dr. Regis Blackard tried to steal the program and sell it off to the highest bidder, but was unable to obtain it and nearly died in the process. Witt deleted Applesauce from the Witt's End mainframe, and it's unknown whether or not there is still a true copy remaining. It was later discovered that the word Applesauce was a self-destruct code for the Imagination Station, but that doesn't mean that the station actually contained the program. Witt may have programmed it as a reference to the fact that Blackard blew up the Imagination Station using Applesauce in the past. A criminal, dubbed the Whisperer, escaped from a long jail sentence seeking to steal Applesauce for the purpose of world domination. Jason Whittaker told him that a copy still existed in Witt's End, but it's unknown whether or not this was a bluff to draw the criminal in. While the program itself is ostensibly gone forever, it's not unlikely that it will be mentioned again sometime in the future.
Witt's Boredom Buster. The Boredom Buster is almost as old as Witt's End itself, originating back when Donna and Jimmy Barkley were young children. Witt gave it to Jimmy and presumably anyone else who used it with the advice that it may only be used when you're absolutely, without question, no doubt about it, as bored as you've ever been in your life. The device is like a modern Chinese puzzle box, with parts to pull, push, twist, and open. The stated purpose is for the user to try and turn it on, but once that's accomplished, a recording of Witt's voice begins, explaining that anything can relieve boredom and be interesting if you put your mind to it, even something as silly as the Boredom Buster. The machine then shuts off and allows the user to find something interesting to do.
The Edgelink. The Edgelink is a combination of a laptop projector, transceiver, and telephone. It's not truly a new invention as much as it's a new way of combining existing technology in an inexpensive and energy-efficient way. The device is powered by solar power as well as a manual crank. During the inventing process, Jason, on behalf of Witt, pitched the Edgelinks to the Indian government as a low-cost means of educating children in underdeveloped and rural areas. The Edgelink is able to receive data wirelessly from another device around the world, such as a school lesson video, and display it via the projector. The fact that it works nearly anywhere in the world on very little power also makes it ideal for traveling and fieldwork. The proposal Witt and Jason made to the Indian government was with an organization known as Gospel for India, and if they won the 5-year education contract, they would be able to reach all those millions of children for Christ while giving them basic education. On the contrary, if the machine wasn't finished in time, the contract would go to another organization, the One World Government Education Fund, which wanted to use hypnosis to teach harmony with the spirits of nature. An incredible number of setbacks very nearly caused the invention not to be ready in time for the presentation to the proper officials, and in the end, Marvin Washington used the projector to present the invention to both the Indian Minister of Education and the President of India, securing Gospel for India with the education bid. The Edgelink was used a number of times thereafter, most notably to communicate between Odyssey and the Ashanti village in Africa. Recently, technology upgrades have given rise to a similar device known as Egghead, which has replaced the now technologically inferior Edgelink.
Bevers. Bevers, short for Bible Educational Audio-Visual Research System, is a voice-controlled computer Witt invented for biblical research. Its most basic function is to play an audio Bible with corresponding visuals and sound design based on a given verse or range of scripture. The system also has the Bible indexed and categorized on an enormous number of different themes and characteristics, and can search and sort by many different metrics, such as scriptures with the names of God sorted by order of appearance, along with corresponding statistics and references. It's essentially a large Bible library condensed into a single voice-activated smart database.
The Bible Room Mirror. The Bible Room Mirror was one of the original inventions in the Bible Room. It's a large standing mirror which appears darkened as a natural state. When someone says a Bible verse to it, the mirror illuminates and reads the beginning of 1 Corinthians 13:12. Now we see in a mirror dimly, but soon we shall see face to face. While it is illuminated, one can say a verse reference, such as Romans 8:28, and the mirror will read back the corresponding verse.
The Inspiration Station. The Inspiration Station is one of Witt's latest additions to the Bible Room. It resembles a large, old-fashioned radio with a large red button similar to that of the Imagination Station. When pressed, this station activates, functioning similar to the Imagination Station as well. The experience seems to work differently for each individual. It's possible that the template goes as such. The user enters a virtual world, which starts out as an infinite library on their first visit. An artificial intelligence named Mortimer will determine what sort of inspiration they are seeking. He helps them find information in the library related to their problem, then sends them to some unique location or on some unique quest to discover the inspiration they seek. The station hasn't been seen enough to give any concrete information on any patterns in the experience, but it seems to be highly dependent on the user.
Motion sensing microphones. After Andromeda broke into Witt's End, Witt installed a program on all the phones in Witt's End, which would begin recording audio through the phone's mouthpiece once they detected movement. The idea was to create an audio security system which was on an independent network from the main video security system. Although the system was never needed during the rest of the Novacom saga, it came to use in Sounds Like a Mystery, when the original Statue of Liberty model was stolen while touring through Odyssey. It was later revealed in the top floor that Eugene had installed the program in his house as well.
The Strata Flyer. The Strata Flyer is a very prominent invention in the animated series, and is mentioned in the audio series, thus its inclusion here. The Strata Flyer is a dirigible which Witt invented, composed mainly of a motorboat with propellers and large helium balloons. Due to the absurdity of this invention, the audio series poked fun at it in I Slap Floor, when Witt, while rather out of his mind, suggested building a flying machine made out of a boat, with oars, and big helium balloons, and a propeller. We can use it to rescue people! This was a statement that convinced everyone that Witt had truly lost it. He later cried out that everyone would, "I'll be sorry next time someone falls off a clock tower," making reference to Witt's animated rescue of Dylan Taylor from the Odyssey clock tower in A Fine Feathered Frenzy.
And we're back now with visual Devin and Victoria. You can see our lovely faces again. So that's about all that we have for you this week. Next week, what are we doing, Victoria?
We are reviewing 2 episodes, which are the launch part 2 and the last I do, because it is February.
Yes, which means President's Day. So what else would we be reviewing than the last I do?
I said both of them.
I know. I was just saying that's why we're doing the last I do.
Oh, I thought you were getting me to say the launch part 2 again.
No.
For some reason.
I was saying it's February, which means President's Day, which explains our choice in episodes. Also Groundhog's Day. Double choices. And
Groundhog's Day and Arbor Day are my favorite holidays because they are the most necessary.
Yes. And of course, the launch part 2 is being done because it is the February episode for the OAC. So, we'll see you then in 2 weeks. Until next time, I'm Devin Francis.
And I am Victoria Francis.
And thank you for joining us on our side of the YouTube. This has been
the Adventures in Odyssey Oddcast.
Oddcast. Yay.
Do we get it?
I don't know. It sounded right on my end because I matched to yours. Did it sound right on your end?
I think. No, only time will tell. Bye, guys.
I guess we'll see you in post. Bye.